slowly drifting to
We got a phone call from the school nurse when he was about 4 years old. She told us that Ryan was having problems with one of his eyes. And she advised us to go or take him to a pediatric
Eye doctor.
So we took him and he did tests and he told us that he was blind in the one eye.
I think when I first heard, I probably blamed myself a little bit or a lot, thinking, what could I have done differently? How did I not notice? Was it my fault? And, you know, as his mom, I didn't want anything bad to have happened to him. So, yeah, it was upsetting at first.
No. I mean, that may sound crazy, but I was born with it. So I've lived blind in my left eye my whole entire life. So I'm used to it. That's the way I see things. It's just that whenever I run a lot, like I do a lot of physical activity like hockey or cross country or something, it shifts and then I become a little self-conscious and then people will ask me like, what's wrong with your eye? And then I kind of freeze.
But then we realized that in my family we have eye issues. My father, my cousin, my grandfather all have eye issues. My cousin Willie, he actually has to look sideways to see you, and my grandfather had a bad eye, glass eye. I never got the full story. So it's something genetic and something we have to work through. And we have.
Well, I think we moved on. Like, it's not really blaming anybody, right? He was just born that way, and I really don't think of it as a disability. I just think of it, you know, I look at Ryan and it's just Ryan.
I'm Dr. Richard Walker, and Ryan Taggart is a longtime patient of mine who I do yearly exams on, who ever since birth has actually been blind in one of his eyes, and we want to monitor to make sure his good eye is still very functional and healthy so he can perform all the normal activities that every regular person takes for granted. Ryan's condition actually is not very common. Most humans, when we develop from infants into adulthood, actually develop normal, healthy eyes where both eyes see very well with or without glasses. So Ryan, what I want you to do is I want you to cover your left eye with this, please. And just look up in the mirror and just, can you read those letters for me?
F, Z, B, D, E.
Yep.
E, G, N, D, H.
Good, and how about that right there?
A, P, E, C, T.
Good, excellent, 20/20. So let's try the other eye. So, can you see anything at all up there? Oh, you can't even really open your eye there. Okay, so...
No, I can't see anything.
So, you can't really see anything. Okay, so let's just try here. Can you see my hand moving at all?
No.
Okay. How about, can you see any light?
No, I can't see any light.
Okay. Alright. So, let's just check here. But in him, there was tons of scarring of his retina, specifically the center of his retina called the macula, which has made him permanently blind. He actually sees no light, has no motion, no perception. There is no technical name for this condition, but it's very uncommon and actually can be very easily missed if we don't do screening exams on young kids.
So do you know if it can be cured at all? Is there like any research pointing to that direction?
Well, historically, the answer would be no. This would just have been, I'm sorry, you have a blind eye, and now you have to learn to deal with it. However, recently with stem cell research, they've been doing experiments with all different kinds of stem cells, where they're implanting stem cells and actually the retinas are able to be regenerated. Now, I'm not saying that they would return to 20/20 vision, but in this instance, any vision would be possible. Another thing that's actually kind of interesting is we're practicing with computer chips, where actually we insert them into the back of the brain, where actually we see, it's in the occipital lobe, and then connecting a wire to the eye, and then using special glasses where we can pick up some images. This is all in kind of very rough form. We're not talking about seeing very well-defined vision, but you can get light and see shapes and just some very basic visual needs. But you know, the future is unlimited, and stem cells, I think, offer the best chance for this to potentially be cured.
Does it surprise you that Ryan plays sports?
It doesn't surprise me. Ryan only has one eye, so he lacks depth perception. He uses monocular cues, which are little tricks that the brain uses so he can adjust to know that someone is in front or behind, or an object is smaller or larger. But it actually impresses me that he can play sports like lacrosse, where you need to have depth perception to pick up a fast-moving ball, catch it, and then move to another position and pass it to another person and be able to judge that depth. So it doesn't surprise me because the brain does have that capability, but it does take someone with a lot of athletic ability and a pretty strong working brain to be able to do it effectively.
Lacrosse is a fast-moving game, a whole field game, so you have to have total vision of the entire field. With one eye, you're basically, limiting your visibility on the field. Ryan overcomes it by being, he compensates it by playing a very sound lacrosse game in his position as an attackman around the cage. Ryan, in practice as well as in games, has always become a student of the game, so he's always working hard, looking to improve his game to become a better lacrosse player.
I don't like it when people feel bad for me for something I can't control. It's how I've lived. I just don't like when people look at me differently when I tell them. Like some of my friends, I know they treat me differently once they find out, or somehow through the grapevine they find out, and I even make sure my coaches don't know. So yeah.
Having Ryan as a teammate is by far one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. A man who only has half of his vision on the lacrosse field really has to be a true athlete to score goals as well as he has. I mean, there was this one time when Coach Nazlonsky was like, "Oh man, we're really down right now. We need to pick me up." And Ryan Taggart got called to go into the game, and I saw him. He's passing the ball around to his teammates, and all of a sudden, bam! Ryan gets the ball, and he sees out of his left eye because he can only see out of this. Comes and he just pulls back, scores that goal. It was the most exciting thing I think I've ever seen. I think it's definitely a struggle, because you can't really truly get around some obstacles that people with two eyes can get around, but it definitely motivates him to do better. He pushes himself to become a better player, a better person in life,
I love playing sports. I love hockey, cross, basketball, whatever. But filmmaking is my favorite thing to do on earth. I love that I can interact with my friends and collaborate with people in my class and then write scripts and then edit them and make them into movies. It's just my favorite thing to do, simple as that.
I think he has or is one of the most passionate filmmakers I have had in a long time in my class. So yeah, definitely has a drive to succeed, and I think he will.
Did you know that Ryan was blind in one of his eyes?
I did not know it until recently. I was a little surprised. But I guess you only need one eye to be a filmmaker. You can only use one eye at a time to look into a camera. And everything is relative. You know what they say, that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So everything's relative.
I feel like it's one of the things I'm not at a disadvantage at, because you only need one eye to see through a lens of a camera.
You don't get it. We have no future. What are we gonna do when we get out of here?
Why are we the way we are? Why am I Charlie? Why am I not in a wheelchair or something? Why don't I know my mother? Why am I not close to anyone except for you? Well, like someone would come up to me and they're like, hey dude, that's pretty cool. I heard you're blind on one eye. And I'd say, yeah. And they're like, really? And I'd be like, obviously, why would I lie about that? And they're like, can you prove it? And it's the same routine. I put my hand over my right eye. Right now, I can't see anything. And they'd ask me, and they'd pull up some fingers and they ask me how many I see. And it's the same thing. I see nothing. It's just darkness.
I'm slowly drifting to.
I hold myself to no limitations because I want to live life to the fullest. I swing for the fences because failure is not an option. This is my life, and I see it through one lens.
Well, there's definitely something that Ryan, you definitely do not see.
Yes.
You do not see how to clean your room.
Or pick up the bathroom towels you leave on the floor.
Every
you definitely
day.
See those things.
We would like you to see
those.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Ryan.